So finally, we're doing a Titan build. I know, thank you. After doing 3 Warlock videos, a Hunter video, we are now finally getting to Titan. And a 20-day wait in between videos is something that shouldn't have happened and won't happen again. I'm not going to continue to make excuses because it was entirely my fault and I'm definitely paying for it, but it's all good and I'm going to continue to make dope D2 content for you guys. And I really do want to go back to MW and make a few videos on that and see how that does. So we're still sticking with Void, so I wanted to do a new Void Titan build that I haven't seen, and I'm pretty sure there is this Titan build out there somewhere. It's really hard to do original builds and fun, cool builds that somebody already hasn't done, and I'm new to making Destiny content, so I definitely don't want to be called out for copying somebody or stealing someone's idea when I'm just trying to make a fun and entertaining build to watch and for people to try. But this one is definitely one of my favorite Void Titan builds. So we're going to be using the exotic gauntlets Doomfang Pauldron on the Void Titan to get our super back insanely fast with just a couple Void melees. Doomfang Pauldron states, Void melee kills give super energy. While Sentinel Shield is active, melee kills recharge shield throw, which extends your super on hits. So somewhere like the exotic mission, I was keeping my super up and going for a pretty long time, longer than I expected. And roaming supers got buffed to make a ridiculous amount of orbs. And you're gonna keep this roaming super active going like longer and longer, you're gonna be making orbs like up the ass. And we already know what orbs can do. It can give us Devour for more healing. Like all the healing you need. Literally all you do when you get Devour is get 1 kill and you're already up to full health. And then number 2, you get Volatile. And Volatile in itself can clear any room in the game. But before we get into a deep dive, let's take a look at the subclass, aspects, and fragments. So for this build, you want to be on the Void Titan. So first off, it doesn't matter what super you pick. It's very situational. If you want Ward of Dawn, then go for Ward of Dawn. If you want Sentinel Shield, then go for Sentinel Shield. You can get your Ward of Dawn back like in 30 seconds. It's insane. And if you want to go for Sentinel Shield, you can get it back in probably 45 seconds or under a minute. The rate that you get your super back is really cool. So for this video, we're going to be going Sentinel Shield, but the choice is up to you. So the melees, Shield Throw and Shield Bash. They both work. They both give you 25% of your super back. So the Void melee, just like the Void super, is all preference. I prefer Shield Throw, but sometimes I don't get the kill. If you want to run and charge up the melee and guarantee that kill, then go for Shield Bash. And for the grenade, you're going to want Vortex Grenade, because we're going to want damage over time. For the aspects, I put Bastion and Offensive Bulwark. We want Bastion because the overshield when you cast your barricade is just too crucial to the Void Titan, and the survivability it gives you is just insane. And then Offensive Bulwark. When we have an overshield, our grenade charges faster and our melee does more damage. And when you use your super Sentinel Shield, you gain an extra shield throw, which is really nice. So for our fragments, we only have 3 unfortunately, but that's really all we need, because this build is already super powerful. Echo of Instability to give us volatile rounds, Echo of Starvation to give us Devour when we pick up an Orb of Power, so we can get instant healing. And then Echo of Provision. Damaging targets with grenades grants melee energy. And this doesn't have a cap, so if you do damage over time with a grenade, it gives you a lot of melee energy. So that's why I picked Vortex Grenade, because if you throw it at a beefy target, it's going to continue to tick, and it's going to continue to give you more melee energy, so you can get your super back faster. So before I get into the mods, I have 2 separate sets of weapons that I use for this build, and they both give the same result basically, and they both use the same mods, so I just wanted to get that out the way. My first set of weapons is more free to play and if you're just getting back into the game, and then my second set of weapons is the more, I guess, expertise kind. It just gives a way better benefit, and it doesn't use an exotic slot. But finally, let's get into the mods. It's really nothing special. For the helmet, we have a Void Siphon mod, and we have 2 hands-on mods. Gain bonus super energy on melee kills, and this stacks with Doomfang Pauldron to give you like 25 to 24, 23% supercharge on melee kill. For the arms, we have heavy-handed and firepower, so when we get a grenade kill, we generate an orb. And when we get a melee kill, we also generate an orb. And then momentum transfer. Causing damage with your grenade reduces melee cooldown. For the chest, we have emergency reinforcement for more protection, the charged up mod so we can carry more armor charge, and then void reserves so we can just hammer away at using volatile. For the legs, we have void weapon surge to give us more void damage, and 2 invigoration mods, which reduces melee cooldown on orb pickup. and we're going to be generating a million orbs. For the class item, we have 2 outreach mods, so it reduces melee cooldown when we use our barricade. And then a proximity mod, this gives us an overshield while we're performing a finisher. So by just using your melee ability and getting a kill gives you back chunks of super. This is why we're using Monte Carlo for our free to play and returning players, because it just synergizes really well with getting our melee back. Monte Carlo's exotic perk says dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. So here I'm using it on one of the Nightfalls and I'm getting my bubble back insanely fast because this works with bubble and sentinel shield. For sentinel shield, I'm using a different melee, the shield bash, and I'm using different sets of weapons. I feel like these weapons work way better than Monte Carlo, but don't sleep on Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo is a jack of all trades if you're using a melee build. It just has the downside of being in the exotic slot. So for my primary slot, I'm using the Submission SMG, crafted from the Vow the Disciple raid, and I have it with Enhanced Demolitionist and Overflow. It's a really good 900 RPM SMG. I can get 82 in the magazine, and it has demo, so it gives us our grenades back quicker. And when we use our grenades, we get our melee back. Next, we have the Iterative Loop Fusion Rifle from Neomuna. And you can even craft this fusion rifle if you're lucky enough to get the drops, which I thankfully was, even though I had to spend hours in Neomuna to get this fusion rifle to drop. And this is what we're using for the replacement for Monte Carlo, just because it can roll with the perk Pugilist. This trait states, final blows with this weapon generates melee energy. So it's basically the opposite of Demolitionist, which in our favor works really well. And then finally, for our heavy weapon, Corrective Measure from the Vault of Glass. And the perks we have on it is Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie, just to synergize with the rest of our build. And it's Void, and it's an LMG, and we already know how good LMGs are doing this season. Actually, most of my builds have been LMGs because they're just so good. And if you need to do boss damage, just take it off and put on a rocket launcher, and then you're set. And you can see from the gameplay, you can be in your roaming super for a long time. It's honestly ridiculous how long you can be in your roaming super. But yeah, I fully recommend you use these weapons, or not even these weapons, use weapons that have the same perks as these, because the perks and even the weapons itself makes everything run so smooth with this build. And again, this doesn't just have to be Sentinel Shield, you can spam your bubble over and over too. When I was doing the new raid with this build, I honestly popped my super probably like 30 to 35 times just because it's so potent. But yeah, I think my next video is going to be on the Void Hunter. It's not going to be what you think, because when everyone thinks of Void Hunter, you immediately think of Garfalcons, but this one's going to be a little bit different. But thank you for watching my shitty Destiny 2 builds, and look out for the next one.